Hey there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel in a new card making video. I am super excited to share with you the large die of the month from Spellbinders for December 2022 because it is so beautiful. I am loving this die set. It is the Blooming Heart set. It has 16 dies in it, and I love how you put the two pieces together to create a floral heart. These are all the dies and what the die cuts look like. You can layer these pieces that create the floral heart on top of the solid heart. Then there are a bunch of flowers so that you can layer on top of those two pieces and have different colored flowers and a nice layered look. So here is what the flowers look like. There's a little bit of paper piecing that goes to it and layering, and you can easily kind of figure that out if you look at the packaging that the die comes in, or of course watch this video. So I'm layering them up and just giving you a quick look at how they go together. There are, of course, other possibilities if you want to play around with the different dies, but I like to show you exactly what to do with your new die set. So I am putting a few of these together just by hand and kind of showing you where they lay on top. And then we'll jump into card number 1 using these pieces right here. So we're going to do lots of layering and it's going to have so much texture. We're starting first with the solid heart I die cut from watercolor cardstock. At first I thought I was going to do like a watercolor background on this heart, and then I decided to keep it simple because the flowers are really the star of the show. So instead I just took out my vintage photo distress ink and did a little dusting around the outside and splattering on the top. And then of course I need that to dry. I like sometimes to do a little bit of heat setting, otherwise set it aside to dry. Then I am going to add some color to the leaves. So I've already die cut it from a light green cardstock, but I'm going to go over the top with my YG03 and YG17 markers to give them a nice blended look and really help them to stand out. Now you can see here as I'm coloring that the flowers are embossed into, there's like a pattern embossed into them. If you look at that, it will help you know how to layer up your die cuts. Also, because that etching or embossing is there, you could die cut this from a white cardstock and color all of these flowers if that's a type of thing that you're into. I am not like a super duper expert Copic marker colorist artist person, so I like the die cutting and adding a little bit of color here and there, but it makes me so happy to put those two hearts together, those two pieces together to make a heart. It's so gorgeous. So now let's make some flowers. I have pink and 2 different shades of red and then gold accents for my flower. Now you could die cut this rose piece. I'm going to call it a rose. I know it's not. But you could cut it from a 3rd color and fill in the center of this flower like with yellow, and then put your little accent piece on top, so it actually have 4 pieces to put it together. However you want to do it. I didn't really want yellow on my card today, so I did not do that. But you'll see on your packaging that they do have a yellow center, and that's how you do it. So I'm going to glue these in place, lining them up with the one that is already there, and you can see how this is totally transforming this heart. So gorgeous. I did my second rose in a different color, same colors, I just flipped it. So pink was on top, red was on bottom. And then I'll do that with some of the other flowers too, just to really give it some variety. But you know, the possibilities with this die set are endless just by changing out the colors that you use on these flowers. You could really do a rainbow of colors on one. That's gorgeous too. So I am kind of trying to stick with like traditional Valentine's colors and make this very Valentine's-y, and I think it is so beautiful. I'm, already mostly done with making Christmas cards, so I'm kind of looking ahead at what the next holidays are, and it gets me excited again for card making when it's time to start like a new style and new colors. It just adds a little bit of, something to your mojo when you do that. So now I have the smaller flowers that are 2 layers also, and it has a nice like etched cover piece that just covers up half the flower, and then you have that nice rounded center with the gold. They're really cool flowers. So we'll have one more to add. No, I have these little ones to add too that are really cute, and just add a little something. So I'm doing the little ones, they're in pink, and they just have a tiny gold center. So the gold centers that are the smallest, they cut 3 of the larger and 3 of the smaller pieces all at once. So 6 tiny little pieces, which I like. Then you don't have to run it through the die cutting machine so many times. But Spellbinders is quite clever like that with their dies. They, they really have all these little helps, like the etched lines and having more than one piece die cut from one die. I love it. I love it so much. So now I'm adding on that last flower, and it has this rounded centerpiece that's the largest one, and it's really cool looking at how you poke out the little circles in the top. Very detailed and also easy at the same time. So now that those are complete, I'm going to add them to that heart that I dusted the vintage photo ink on the edge. Oh my goodness, is it not super gorgeous? I love it so much. You could leave this with just half of it, having the florals on it, and put a sentiment on the other side. There's really a lot of possibilities with it. I'm going to show you one more idea with this die set on card number 2, so stay tuned for that. I did want to add a little bit of shadowing to my flowers as well, so I'm going to go in with some Copics and just add in a shadow. There's no really rhyme or reason to this. You could, go all out, like I said, and completely color them, and that would be so pretty too. But just having a little bit of a shadow kind of gives them a little extra oomph and helps them stand out a little bit too. And of course, nothing is going to look bad if you decide not to add any shadowing either, right? You just got to go with what you feel in the mood to do. If it makes you happy to add in the shadowing, do that. So I'm using a 3D embossing folder that is this like chunky wood grain. It's so good, from Spellbinders, and a piece of craft cardstock. I embossed that, and now I'm going to go around the edge again with the vintage photo. So I'm going to just put a dusting of this on all 4 sides, and it really helps the edge to stand out from the card base. So I always like to do that. I don't always like to do it. Why would I say that? I don't know. I sometimes like to do this. I am going to spritz it with some water just to give it a little bit of interest. It's very subtle, but I love to add all the details to my cards. I always say love is in the details. So now I'm adding my floral or blooming heart to this panel. I'm putting it a little higher up than middle so I can add my die cut sentiment, because there's also word dies that come in this die set. I love that. And you know what I love the most about this is that the dot, the tittle for the I in width, is not loose. It's not a separate piece. That makes me so happy. I don't have to search for that tiny little thing and then try to pick it up and then try to glue it down. No, none of that. So that makes me happy. So it says with love, and then I'm going to go to town with some gold baubles and just glue these all over the place. I'm putting some on the outside of the heart, and sometimes with embellishments I can't stop. So I did put some around the florals as well, and these are just so matchy with my gold cardstock, so I thought it was really fun to add them to the center. I used the 2 smallest sizes in the center, and it just, makes it a little bit more elegant, I think. There it is with all its shiny goodness and texture. So much texture in this card. All right, there is card number 1. I think it's such a fun die set to play with that I had to make another card. So for card number 2, I'm going to die cut out the large heart again, and just think how many things you can do with this large heart die. And then I'm going to take the dies that I cut out, the heart shapes with in the first card, but this time I am going to emboss them into the heart itself. This kind of gives it a doily-like look. Very cool, but I'm going to add the flowers to it too. So for embossing, I have my universal plate, and right here it tells me how to emboss a cut shape. I need platform A, platform top B, and there's the directions on the B plate. Put your paper cut side up with the paper on top. Then you add in this rubber mat E and the adapter plate D. Then you run it through. Now, all the directions are right there on the plate, so it makes it super easy to figure out. You don't have to remember it, which is so helpful. And then the pattern of these leaves and flowers is pressed into that heart. It's so very cool. Like I said, it kind of looks like a doily, and I think it's so pretty. Very fun for Valentine's Day, but I want to add to this. So it's just going to give us a little bit different look. I am doing the same green markers, YG03 and YG17, to really color these in. I want them to stand out from the background, but also be still matchy, you know? So I am doing that with both colors, but really coloring them in more than I did before. And this gives it a really pretty look. And I think it really makes the heart to have that colored in like that, don't you? So good. All right, so now I need to add my flowers, but first I decided to splatter this one with white acrylic paint. Well, this is just stress paint and picket fence. So the little dots of white everywhere I thought were just really pretty. So that's what it looks like. Now I can set that aside to dry and do my die cutting. I was in a crafty mood today. Like I needed some art therapy. So I decided to pull out some gel press prints to die cut my flowers from, just for something like a little bit more artsy. And I'm telling you, die cutting with my gel press prints has to be one of my favorite ways to use up my prints in card making. Now, if you're not familiar with gel press prints, I have a lot of videos on my channel about gel press prints. So I will leave a link to that playlist in the description box below, and you can watch to your heart's content all about gel press prints and how to use them in card making. That's what I use mine for, and I love making my own backgrounds. And you can see how beautiful they make these flowers. No shading needed on those ones, right? All right, I am pulling out the clear stamp of the month from December, and I'm going to stamp it to create a background on this craft cardstock. I am embossing it, so I treated it with my anti-static powder, and I'm going to use the largest heart from this set, and I'm going to put it in the corner, and then I will stamp it in each of the four corners. Now, because I'm using clear ink, I am going to use my Misty to stamp this 2 times before switching to the next corner. I have my little sticky grid thing in my Misty so the paper sticks to it, and I have a way of lining this up every time because I can't put it in the corner of my Misty because the heart is extending past the edge of the paper a little bit. So I am using 2 different club kits from Spellbinders, so let me tell you about that for a second. Spellbinders has several different kits of the month. You can sign up, subscribe, and have it sent to you every month. They are, I have to say, really reasonable prices, and I think they are an excellent quality, and I love that a lot of the products will coordinate together. So I'll have all the club kits from Spellbinders linked for you below in the description box as well. So if you haven't subscribed or you want to see what it's all about, you can click over there and check that out for yourself. So I embossed that background with white powder. It's gorgeous. I popped up the heart in the center and added it to a card base. Now, all the cards I'm making today, all 2 of them, are 5 by 5 cards, 5 inches by 5 inches. I die cut the with love, but added it to the inside of the card this time. It just was too busy on the outside to have this large sentiment, but I loved it so much I thought it would be fun to put on the inside. Maybe I could have put it at the bottom, write the sentiment at the top, put the with love at the bottom, sign my name. That'd be cool. That would work too. All right, so there it is, glued on the inside, and I couldn't resist. I felt like the leaves needed to be a little bit darker, so I brought in my G05 marker. I held the cap in my hand, so you can't even see it. Sorry about that. But there they are, colored a little bit darker, and I like that so much better with the 3 different colors. I am taking a sentiment from that clear stamp of the month that says, I love us. I stamped it on this tiny little scrap of white paper that I saved, so I didn't have to cut this at all, except the cute little flag at the end. I am going to give this a little bit of a wave with my crease tool, and that'll just give it a little decorative flair, and then I can glue it down. So when I glue down the flowers on this project, I only glued the center of them and not the edges because some of the flowers are layered, so I was able to tuck this under that flower and have it just peek out a little bit. And I love this additional tiny saying on there, but you can see the big sentiment would have just taken away from it. And can you believe it? I am not adding any embellishments to that card. I feel that embossed background is all the embellishment that that card needs. It got a lot going on, and I would love to know what you guys think of today's cards and this die set, because I think it's pretty cool. One of my favorites in a long time. The other one I love that sticks out a lot in my head is the strawberries, the set with the strawberries. If you are interested, they do sell their club kits if they have leftovers in their shop, so you can search for those. But I thank you so much for stopping by and letting me share my crafty creations with you, and I'll be back again very soon with another video just for you. Happy stamping! Bye!